This is a Singer Heavy Duty 4423. A 4413 is going to have the same body. I think the 23 has stretch stitches built in. But I realized I don't have a video of cleaning one of these out, and it's really not a big deal for anybody to open these and clean them. You're going to want to start at the bottom, and there's two main panels on the bottom here. I'm actually going to start with the full base. It's got 6 screws. There's this one in the middle of a foot. Sometimes that rubber foot comes out, sometimes it stays stuck to the base piece. There's a screw here, and then there's these 4 big screws that hold the feet on, these metal stabilizer feet. And those, when we put them back, we'll have to be careful, but they all just come out when we take them out. And the handle bent over there. When we get this off, we probably won't see a ton of dirt right away, but with this out of the way, you can see more easily the main panel to remove for cleaning. So again, you don't have to remove this part. I'm taking it off to show better. These 2 screws. This is the panel under the free arm of the machine. You can pop these 2 screws off, and while the big base is on the machine, this will slide right off the end. And holy cow, this machine has been worked hard and never cleaned. Look at that. Well, obviously, all of this is bad for the machine, bad for it to operate, and holy cow. Well, and this lint is packed all around up in here. I'm going to have to get tweezers. Typically, lint does not build up behind this bracket. It usually fills up back here, and you can just pull it out like I just did. But this machine has been packed with goo, so I'm going to have to take a minute to get some tweezers or something and reach around in here. This bracket is what holds your hook in place. So when you're cleaning, don't remove this bracket, because you will have to do a ton of work to put it back and get everything lined up again. So like I said, I'm gonna find my tweezers and pick around behind this bracket to get the rest of this lint heap out of here and get the rest of the goo out of this machine. But the other thing is, you'll notice there's a felt here and a felt here. Both of these felts should be soaked with oil. There are a lot of machines that get shipped, they don't oil them at the factory for some reason, or they sit in a warehouse long enough they dry out. So if you get one of these machines, brand new even, you can pop this cover off the bottom and check to make sure that these 2 felts are oiled, and that oil on that felt is the long-term lubrication that these machines have. And once those are properly oiled, that'll hold oil there for months at a time. Not like the old machines where you had to oil them every few hours of sewing. With that felt and the modern bearing materials, several months is the brake that you'll need. And then this machine uses grease on this gear and grease on here, which is another thing. And once you start to get enough felt and lint buildup in your machine, it gets onto the grease and starts to mix with that grease, and then it becomes an even gummier mess. Which is why you should always clean your machine. If you're cleaning it from the top around your bobbin area right away, then the dirt won't have a chance to work its way down underneath here. But that panel, this panel here, is another easy way to get in. When you break needles or lose needles down in behind the bobbin area, you can pop this off and look around for those needle pieces. This is the top side of the same machine. This machine is, yeah, every time you change your bobbin, you should be checking and seeing about cleaning under your bobbin area. Here's the needle plate off that machine. It's got lint and fuzz all over it, but you can pop your needle plate off and get all the dirt out from the top. And if you remove and brush out all this lint at the top, then it won't have a chance to get packed up underneath. And all this lint, like all this, is causing stitch issues. So the reason this machine is on my bench in the first place with a complaint about having trouble stitching is because it was not being cleaned ever. So there's like all this felt packed under the bobbin case. This could be from doing a lot of linty fabrics like felt. Could be from cheap thread. Cheap thread sheds a lot of lint and fuzz. But yeah, if the owner had been cleaning this machine regularly, when they, you know, every few bobbins or spools of thread or something like that, then none of this would have had a chance to work from the top here down underneath into everything down below. So I'm going to continue, and I think I'm going to have to take this top panel off to really get in there and get the rest of the pile out of there. This whole pile of filth was in and around the bobbin area on this 4423, and there's still more that I just noticed as I turned the camera back on. And if you are cleaning your machine like you're supposed to regularly in and around your bobbin case, this won't have a chance to pack in and around every nook and cranny of this machine. I'm gonna double check this. That was packed in so tightly that you can't even do anything like try to blow it out. You have to remove all of the filth that's packed in there so that there's enough room for things like air to blow around and move things. So I'm going to finish picking at this and see how big the pile really is. Like I said, I thought I was done, and then I moved and got at it from a different angle and spotted some more. So I'm going to poke it around a bit again, and like I said, every time you move it, there's a chance to spot some more dirt. to pick out, and like I said, when you let it get this bad, not even air can get in there to blow it out. So I'm gonna get picking at that some more. Since we're already cleaning and checking over this 4423, 4411 works the same way. It's got a top panel here, 2 screws underneath the handle, and when you take those screws out, this just pops off. It's got some tabs, and then you've got access to the top of the machine to clean more thoroughly behind the take-up arm and stuff, and if you've got thread wrapped around in here, you can get at it better from the back. But you can get to the 2 oiling spots in the top here. There's a felt in this bearing oil reservoir, and then there's a bearing on the back side here. This one doesn't have a felt, it's just a plain bearing that needs a drop of oil at the same time that you oil this big main bearing. But that's the cover removal for the 4423 and 4411. It's pretty easy for you to be cleaning and oiling these yourself, and then you don't end up in the situation where the machine locks up from lack of lubrication. And again, some of these come from the factory, or they sit on a dock forever and the felts dry out and they need to get oiled right away when they're new. But once they've been oiled, they'll go for several months without needing lubrication, the way that old machines needed oil once a week or every day if you used them heavily. Well, the first thing to clean on your Singer Heavy Duty should be under the bobbin case. And I already have the bobbin case out of this machine. I have the foot out of the way, and I took the needle plate off. The bobbin case comes out and goes in the same way. The Heavy Duty has a lot of issues, but it is tough enough that if you jam it and then turn on the hand wheel, you can spin your bobbin case the wrong way around, jam it past this bumper and get it stuck here and wedged in, or jam the machine out of time. So whenever you have a jam or other issue with your machine, you should immediately stop, get your needle out, get your work out carefully. Don't just crank on the hand wheel to try and get past the jam. But this machine took the needle or the bobbin case out, cleaned around underneath it. Now we're putting it back in. So it sets in. It's got a hook on the side, or a bumper on the side, goes against the front bumper there, and then in the back there's this retainer finger, and that has 2 screws. Alright, 2 screws for this finger, and you can set this finger up against the bobbin case so it's jammed in here. Just like all the other bobbin cases, you want to set this retaining finger so that there's room for the case to wiggle and let the thread around. The Heavy Duty, typically the case does not pull out. On most Heavy Duty machines, does not pull out with this finger in place, which is kind of nice. But when you want to clean under your machine or under your bobbin case, you have to remove this finger to pull this out, and then When it's in, you want to make sure that it just rattles a bit, and the rattling is enough space for the thread to get around it. And then once that's been cleaned under, after you clean under your bobbin case, you can put your needle plate back on with 2 screws. And these screws do not have to be tight, they only have to be finger tight, snug, so that you can so that they hold the plate in place. But over tightening them doesn't give you any benefits and just makes them harder to remove later.